Jay here from Flipping Cars for Fun, and today we have another CRV. This one's a 2009. Now this car gave me a lot of trouble. We couldn't even get this thing started. On this episode, we're gonna be doing body work on this car. I went through so much trying to flip this car. You don't wanna miss this episode. You're gonna learn a lot. So here's what's going on. The transporter just delivered these two cars, but the one that we're gonna focus on is this Honda CRV for today. When I got the car yesterday, I had a flashing driver's light and the battery was dead. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and boost the car. Now I'm gonna tell you why I'm talking about a flashing driver's light. Now when I say drive light, I mean this light right here was flashing, the D. Let's see if we can get this thing started and I'll explain a little bit more. Okay, not starting. Let's see what's going on with this booster. Maybe I gotta put it on there a little bit more. Let's give it another crank. Get it started. I'm not sure how the tow truck driver got it on. We're gonna go buy a new battery because we need one anyway. I'm gonna go grab a Walmart special. Okay, so we got our new battery. Go ahead and change this thing. Put our new one in. Let's try to get this baby into the start. Hopefully she comes on, man. Come on. Ready? Oh, wow. New battery don't start. Whoa. That's deep. You can't make this up.
So at this point of the build, I was super confused. So I went to the other car that was delivered, took that battery out because I thought I didn't have enough cold cranking amps. So I put that battery in, tried to start it back up, but I had no luck, guys.
Okay, so here's what's going on. We towed the car home, unfortunately. Now, last night, I couldn't get the footage. We tried to bang on the starter to get it going. It was too dark outside for me to get the footage. I guess the part that I'm a little confused with, the transporter got the car started with a boost. So you guys saw that I tried two different batteries, so it's not the battery. I put that battery back in, took the other batteries back. We tried banging on the starter. I just wanted to get the car home, so I kind of threw in the towel and like just called a tow truck because my parking lot where I park my cars and get my cars delivered is dirt, so I can't really work on cars in there. I can't jack up a car, I can't do too much stuff because it's dirt. It's a dirt floor and it's very uncomfortable. So what we're gonna do now is just go over the car. I'm home now, I got all of my tools. We're gonna check all of the fuses. We're also gonna try to check the starter solenoid. We're gonna check the main fuse for the battery and stuff like that. Let's get into it. One of our fuse boxes is located right here. And here are our main fuses. I just want to make sure that these are good and not blown out. So this is one of our main ones. If you guys don't know, when you touch it, if it lights up, it means it's good. So that one lit up. This one's lit up. This is the one to our battery. This side lit up as well. And let's just check some of the smaller fuses over here just to make sure it's good. So these are all giving us power. That fuse box is covered. We checked our main fuse and looks like everything is all good under here. Okay, so let's go over here in our main cabin. We have another fuse box under here based off my research online last night. And that fuse box has the starter relay there. That's something that we want to check as well. Just want to make sure that we have a good starter relay. Okay, so it looks like we got to remove this thing over here. Guys, when you're flipping cars, I mean, the best thing to do is try to stay positive because it's times like this that just get you down. I had to tow the car, pretty frustrated trying to bang the starter in my dirt lot with dirt on the floor, and then I can't figure it out, So you get a little frustrated. I'm not fully frustrated because I'm starting to get used to these problems. So we got our relay out, super hot outside. You see me sweating, just doing the smallest thing. But the way we're gonna test it is with a 9-volt battery. And the way we're gonna do it, we're gonna look for a click. We're gonna put a positive and negative and see if we get a click. So we are getting a click, guys. Nothing wrong with this solenoid. Super confusing, super confusing. Easy way to test a relay. Put my relay back in, we tested it, pop it in there, and we'll go through some more troubleshooting. So another thing you want to check is if your check engine light is on. That's a good thing because that means that the computer is hooked to it. So that's a good thing. And you also want to look if they have any kind of like security light pop up, like security system. If it blinks and it doesn't go away, then that means we have a problem with the security system, which we don't. Another test is the safety neutral switch. I'm going to put the car in neutral and see if I can start it that way. The same thing. I just hit a click. So it's not the safety neutral switch. There you go, hold it on. You got it? So you see I tried everything, the relays. We even went under the car again trying to tap the starter, and I got no luck. Now I went on a few forums, and I'm extremely excited to say I found a trick that I can do to see if that starter reacts. Now I haven't done it yet. I wanted to wait for you guys to see it firsthand. So if I fail, I fail right in front of you guys. So here's what we got. We got this wire right here that connects directly to the starter itself. It connects to the starter solenoid. And basically what you do with this particular model CRV, if your starter is bad, you can go ahead, take a wire, put one end into that wire right there, the starter solenoid, and then you can touch the battery to positive with the other end of the wire. Let's give this thing a try. Put your wire in here like this. You're gonna hold it there. Then we're gonna touch this end of the wire to the positive. You guys ready? Let's go for it. Nice. So you can see that the starter wants to start. It's trying to crank. You just hit a click. We got a bad starter, guys. So in this industry, if you want to fix the cars yourself and you're not going to be patient, then you will not be successful, guys. It took me 2 days to figure this out. The rest is going to be history, and I'm going to go ahead and change this starter based off my research. Some people try to go from the bottom, and it's just very hard because there's a bolt that's right behind the starter. From what I'm seeing, the best way to do it is to go from the top and remove the intake manifold and all of the components over here. Be patient, be diligent, do your research, look at every form, every video. It might take a couple hours, a little bit of frustration. If you get frustrated, it's not hard at all, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing apart. We got our battery out. We're gonna go ahead and remove the air filter, and then we gotta take out our intake manifold. So if you're a person like me, you're just learning how to fix cars, and watch as much videos as possible, guys, and read as much forums as possible. It looks like I know exactly what I'm doing, like I've done this before, because one, I had problems like this with other cars. You guys saw me take off intake manifolds before. And then two, I've watched so many videos on this one particular thing on this car. I probably watched like 15, 20 videos just studying and studying and studying overnight. And that's why I do this for fun, because I do have fun just looking at the videos. Sometimes it's not fun, but if you dig deep enough, you'll find the answers and exactly what you're looking for. So here's our starter. We got this top bolt right here. We got to remove this wire, and then we have our knock sensor over here. We got to remove that wire so that we can have space to get this bolt back here. Back here is the hardest bolt if you try to do it from the bottom. That's the biggest issue. And then this is the other bolt right here to remove the starter. Let's go ahead and take this thing out. I think business itself is just not a turnkey thing, and it's always going to be a learning experience. But right now I need to know what cars work for me. I need to learn about the problems of the cars so I can become a specialist at flipping cars. So you have to look at this period like a learning period. You have to put in that blood, sweat, and tears. It's just no other way in business and in life if you want to be successful. Sounds cliche, but it's simply the journey and the sacrifice that you have to make to become successful. And we got it out, guys. The starter. We just got our new starter. First thing I'm gonna do is test the old starter just in case again, even though we know it's no good. I'm gonna go ahead and test this one before I put it in to make sure that it works. I'm gonna show you how to test your starters. Okay, so here's how you're gonna test your starter. You're gonna grab a battery. You're gonna hook your negative and your positive up, just like jumper cables. You're gonna grab your starter and you're gonna put the positive to where the constant power is hooked up on your starter. You're gonna grab a negative and you're gonna hook it to the body of the starter. You put the screwdriver in here like this, and you touch the part where the ignition is connected to. That's what kind of sets off the starter. And you grab another screwdriver, you put it on this power, and you touch it. Touch the power, and then touch the screwdriver. You hear that? You hear I was just clicking. Very, very weak. We got our other starter here. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna touch it, and then we should hear the difference in this starter compared to that starter. I'm gonna put it here. Now you can see how strong that one is. It's ready to go. So this starter's good. We're gonna put it in the car. I'll hook my old one back up. Let's compare it again. And you can see it's just cutting off. Sounds weak, not staying on. So we got our starter in, all the wires connected, knock sensor, ground. My brother-in-law Albert just pulled up mad late. Now I gotta go ahead and put in this intake manifold right now. So let's put that together. All right, we got everything back together. Thanks to this guy for helping me. Here's the moment of truth. I put the old battery in there, the original battery. Let's see if it comes on. The battery, right? All right, let's put this other battery in there and hopefully she starts. All right, stronger battery. Let's see if she starts. We got it. What'd you just do right now?
Disconnected the battery, testing the alternator. And since this battery is dead, we're gonna leave the car on now. We're gonna plug this battery back on so we can recharge the battery with our own alternator. As you see, the car is perfectly fine. The alternator is perfectly fine because the car is still on. If the car would have turned off, the alternator is back.
So this guy just took out the battery when I was coming out the car. I looked, I was like, there's no battery in the car. I just learned something new. Okay, so one of the main issues with this car, before I bought it, I already knew fuel filter sensor was no good. That was the #1 code on the car. As you can see, it looks like we're on E. We can't tell how much gas is in here. So basically the solenoid that's on the fuel filter is no good. So I went ahead and purchased a whole fuel filter with the solenoid, and we're gonna change it out right now. I still got my boy Albert here, so we might as well get it in. I ordered that before the car came, and the fuel filter is located right under this seat. So I did my research. This is super easy to change, and it's also going to allow us to read our gas, so we're going to know that the gas is good. Right now it looks like it's on E, so we won't be able to tell. This is what I like about Albert, bro. He likes to take over the whole mechanical part of it. You gotta love this, right?
A little bit. It's a good hobby to have.
We take it off the top. I've never done this before as well. Okay, look at that.
It's your fuel pump.
So what I saw with the video is you basically disconnect this sensor, move that out the way. This is the fuel line right here, right?
Yeah.
I know you removed that. We're gonna see if we see where the gas level is at this time around. And we do have a little bit of gas, so we got 1 bar. Before we had no bars and the gas light was flashing. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if that worked. Nice, and our gas light went away. We had our gas light on before. Our bars are at 1, so they actually went up. We almost got a half a tank in here. Now that we got our car started and finally running, we can go over this thing and see exactly what's wrong with it. Now, as you can see, we started off with that starter problem right off the rip. Now, when I originally bought this car, the only code that it had on it was the fuel pump, showing that it doesn't show how much gas is in the car, and the fuel pump sensor seems to be messed up. One of the next things I noticed at auction was that this car needed body work right here on the rear driver's side quarter panel. You can see that it's dented in and needs to be pulled out. This whole part will need to be painted. And here's the other part that's messed up as well. We have a dent here and a dent here. You can see right here on the trunk, it needs to be pulled out, and right here on this plastic panel needs to be pulled out. Now for me, that's not a problem. I love to do body work. So when I saw this car, it's a Honda CR-V, of course, right? Honda, we all want Hondas and Toyotas. The body work and the fuel pump wasn't a big deal. But as you guys saw, we ran into other problems with the car. Like the surprising one, our starter. The next surprising thing that we just ran into after we put gas in here to check the fuel level, the check engine light popped up and we ran into this code right here, P0843, which is a transmission fuel pressure sensor. Can this be the reason for our flashing drive light? So this here is our transmission oil pressure sensor switch. I'm really hoping that this is what's causing that flashing drive light. Now I did tons of research and this seems to be the culprit. I'm also gonna go ahead and check the wiring that this is connected to, because I noticed there's lots of like mice poop in the areas over here. So you can see that there's poop near the oil stick right here. This is a New York City car and there's a lot of rats in New York City. So here's our plug, and it only has 1 wire on it, so the wire looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm checking around the surrounding areas, the other plugs, everything else looks good. Looks like we're good on the wire inside, so we're gonna go ahead and get that sensor out. Here we go. This one looks the same. We got the same part. Okay guys, we're all done here. Finished wrapping it up, putting the battery back in. We're gonna have to ride this thing out and just hopefully that flashing drive light stops.
So at this point of the build, we're gonna start our body work. We went ahead and removed the molding on the wheel well, and we're using our angle grinder to get the car down to the metal, because we're gonna go ahead and use our stud welder so we can pull out the dents.
Okay, now that we got our car down to the metal, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our stud welder and we're gonna put the studs into every area that's dented in. Okay, here's our stud welder. We're gonna grab a stud, okay? We're gonna put it inside of the stud welder, okay? We're gonna press it onto the metal surface, pushing it in. And you can see how the gun pushes in. See that action? And then we're gonna press the button and we're gonna weld it to the car. This is gonna allow us to pull out the dent before we start to bondo the car. Okay, you can see we have one stud on there. We put it in the middle of the area where the dent is at. We're gonna put a few more in the areas where the dent is at so we can pull it out.
Once your dents are popped out, go ahead and remove the welded studs, and you're gonna file them down with your angle grinder again. Then you're gonna take a body hammer and tap the areas that are too high before we apply our bondo. And we're gonna do that on every side of the car, all the body work that is needed. We're gonna do the same actions. Then we're gonna go ahead and apply the bondo to give it a nice smooth surface.
Now for these smaller areas that I can't get with the bondo, I'm gonna use some glazing spot putty, and I'm gonna get into these little areas, just like little grooves that I'm gonna get into. So this way when we paint it, we won't have any, blemishes on the paint. So we have them here, and then for on this side, we have them over here, those little cracks. So we take it like this, you can see it comes out, take a fingertip them out, fill up all of those little holes. Just gonna rub it in there. Okay, for this part of the body work, what we're gonna do is heat up this plastic with our heat gun, and I'm gonna take this stick here, I'm gonna push it up so that I can pop up. Now you can see we were able to get that up. It's no longer deadened in. There's a little bit of imperfection right here, but this whole part is up. It's not perfect. It has a sort of a groove right here, but I'm gonna keep heating it up and trying to push that part up. And there's what we have. Ooh, that's hot. And there's what we have. A little bit of imperfections over here, just a little bit of scrapes. Maybe I could put some bondo in here and over here, but I'm gonna sand it down, maybe put a little bit of our filler. And it looks like we're good to go on this. I made it look really good. And when we paint it, you're gonna notice the difference.
So what I'm doing here is sanding down the darker area with a 600 grit, removing a layer of the clear coat, because we're gonna apply another clear coat here. This way our paint could blend in with the whole panel. And if you see me sanding down the other darker areas, I'm hitting that with a 400 grit to get it ready for the primer.
So here's what we got on this side. So you can see all of this is going to be clear coated. This is gonna have the regular paint or factory paint, the blue. This is not gonna be clear coated. And the same thing over here. You can't really see where I sanded because I wet it. As you can see, this is our infected area. We're gonna hit that with the blue paint. And then from here, we're gonna clear coat all of this, minus the inside of this, minus this, and minus that.
So at this point, it's all about preparation and getting the car ready, guys. If you don't prep the car correctly and tape everything off properly, you're gonna have overspray on parts that you don't want to get paint on. So make sure that you take your time when it comes time to this, because it's extremely important. Cover stuff up so you won't have overspray and you can hit all of the right areas.
Okay, so this thing is all prepped and ready to go. It's all covered up for our paint, and what we're gonna be using today is our Spray Max 1K. This paint is matched to the coat on the car, so it's a complete match. And for our clear coat today, we'll be actually using a paint gun. We'll be using a DV1. We usually just use the can, but today we're gonna be using a real clear coat from our paint gun. For the base coat, we're gonna apply 2 coats so we can get this primer down. We don't need to apply the base coat here. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Our base coat just in this area. We don't need it at the top, and the rest is going to be clear coat. Let's start.
Now our first coat is going to be a tack coat, which is a very light coat. It's not going to cover everything. Don't try to cover everything with the first pass. Our second coat is going to be a little bit more stronger. I'm going slower, as you can see, moving my hand really slow and really filling up. That's what you want to do, and this is the results that you're going to get.
Okay, for the clear coat, we're gonna mix it 4 parts to 1. So this is our 4 to 1. We're gonna follow 4 over here and 1 over here. So if we bring it to number 4, we're gonna go to number 4 over here on the 1 part. And this is going to be for the clear coat, and the hardener will be the 1 part.
Now for the clear coat, the same rules apply. Give it a very light coat. As you can see, we have a great shine. Different from the cans that we usually use. You can see I'm going a little bit faster and just a light coat. And the second one, we're gonna lay it on there with a smooth pass. Now there was a bit of imperfections on that lower plastic panel that I tried to heat up and poke out, but to be honest, if this was a car that was very expensive, I would have purchased that piece and repainted it that way. That's what any body shop would do, but other than that, this thing is ready to go and it looks beautiful.
And there it is, guys. You can see the difference between the shiny part and then the cloudy part over here. Now, once the paint dries, I'm gonna wash this car really good and see if it slightly matches. But if not, I'm gonna have to buff out parts of the car so it can kind of match the rest of the paint.
Now at this point in the build, we really had to get this thing going because we were sitting on this car too long. So I went ahead, made sure I vacuumed this thing clean, and I went ahead and degreased every panel in this car. Now when I tell you this car was dirty, guys, it was dirty. Now at first I thought it was somebody's kind of work car, but as I started going through the properties in the car, I realized it looks like it was a female who owned the business, her car, and she pretty much had kids in the back and stuff like that. But this was extremely dirty, guys. I went ahead and looked for clues and old stuff that I can use to put back on the car just in case any plastics or panels were missing. We went ahead, we found a windshield wiper for the back, a brand new windshield wiper for the back that wasn't on the car in the beginning. I degreased every panel, and then when I tell you guys, there was dirt all over. Look at that bucket of water, guys. I steamed the panel and went over it about 2 to 3 times. Now I went ahead and Now I went ahead and started steaming out the carpets and the seats just to make sure that they're clean, and you can see there was so much dirt coming from these seats. It looked like somebody spilled like Coca-Cola on the seats. That's how dirty they looked. Now at this point, we had to get this engine right, because one of the first things people do when they come and buy a car is they look under the hood. And I'm not gonna lie, this was a great running car. It's just everything about it was filthy. I think this car had amazing bones, meaning that it ran really good, looked really good. It just needed to be clean. So we went ahead and proceeded with the wash so we can start our wax. Now I did get lucky with this car. My boy Albert came through, helped me put the car back together after I changed the starter, and as luck would have it, another one of my boys came through and actually helped me wax the car. I was extremely thankful for that, because I would have never got through this car as fast as I did if I didn't have these guys come through. So anyway, let's go over the numbers for this car and see how much we are all in on this car. So to my lot with shipping was $4,100. We bought a fuel pump with the sensor for $53. We got our paint for $46, our inspection for $50, the tow $70, the starter $72, gas to roll around in this thing was $17, the headlights and tail light bulbs were $20, those were out, the pressure sensor switch for that transmission was $45. I bought a shifter cover for $34. We got a steering wheel cover for $8. We bought our battery for $89, bringing us to a total of $4,599. I plan on selling this thing for $6,500. That's bringing us to a grand total of $1,901, guys. Now, was this a good profit? I'm not sure. It was a lot of money invested, but you know what? I learned a lot of things, and I made it extremely far with this car, so I'm prepared for the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Jay here from Flipping Cars for Fun. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. There's a video that's going to pop up here. Make sure that you watch that and stay tuned.